All right, prop the mic, PTM. What up? Tom, Dave, Tim here for the big Friday pod for NFL Week 2. Lots of stuff to get to today. But first, as always, today's podcast is presented by Props.cash. We 100% could not do what we do without Props.cash. So if you think you're ready to level up your prop betting game, use code PTM at sign up to get 25% off your first month. And I like to see up on your screen right there is the link to our Discord. Just want to shout out the Discord. You can get all of our picks there. You can join today using that same PTM discount code for 25% off. What's up, guys? You ready for week 2 here?
Yes, especially after last night. Dude, it
the
started
Dolphins, man. What's up?
The show yesterday that we talked about the shootout, right? And we were a little worried about Thursday Night Football. I don't know what's worse. Would you rather have the first drives go so perfectly where Kincaid gets two targets, James Cook gets one of his receptions, and they score back to back, and then the whole thing falls apart? Or do we just want duds from the beginning so we know what we got into? You know, I feel like it hurt more to start so hot and then just die. That game died.
Yeah, and Tua wasn't looking so good either.
Yeah,
Poor guy.
He did, however, he cashed our rushing in the first half and then added to that total when he went head on into Damar Hamlin, which was absolutely wild. The serendipity there. I don't. We don't need to go into it, but like that many concussions, he looked. Dude, I'm worried for that guy. That's for sure.
I mean, should he play again? I mean, that's like his
he's
fourth concussion now. Yeah, it's like crazy.
It's hard to walk
if he
away.
Comes back. Yeah, they just gave him. Didn't they just give him a max deal too? Like,
yeah. A worse contract than Daniel Jones.
Second game of that giant contract. I mean, he's going to come back. It's just that they're gonna need another replacement. Because I can't even remember their backup quarterback last night, but he was not the answer. So
I saw you just posted the answer up on X.
The answer up on X might be Tom Brady. He hasn't really been
lives
doing
in Miami already, right?
Yeah.
I think Daniel Jones would do really well in Miami's scheme. There's a little bit of jest there, but like honestly, he's mobile and he can get out of that pocket and he's got people to throw to. I feel like they might take a Danny Dimes and see what they can do with him.
You ready to say goodbye to Dimes?
Yeah. I love the guy, but
send him down to South Beach.
I want the best for him. I think his girlfriend lives there, so he'll be all right.
But yeah, that was a brutal game. That was hard to watch. Started out with like some excitement that third or fourth down play to Cook, where he scored the first touchdown. That was exciting. Kind of felt like the game was going to be really high scoring, and then it petered out after that. But all good. We got that was just like a little appetizer. We got the main course coming up on Sunday, and we're going to take you through at least 6 of the games, maybe more, depending on what Tim's got. But Tom kind of went through the slate and identified like the 6 games that he thought were the best for over props. So why don't you just maybe tell everybody kind of the methodology and how you chose the games, and then we'll dive into the first one.
Yeah, not a lot to go on early in the season. I take a look at the, I kind of lean on a lot of Warren Sharp's preseason rankings and to see if there's some nice mismatches to look at, and then some of the early numbers coming out of the ESPN win rates on the line. See if we have anything we could take advantage of there, and just kind of look for a few early season mismatches or. Yeah, that's basically how we do it. Not a lot to go off of, especially in football. So much changes from year to year, to go back, and a lot of defense, different coordinators in place. So defenses can be very different. So not so great reading too much into last season's stuff. So just kind of going off what we got to start through week 1.
All right. Well, let's dive in. No better place to start than your Jets at the Titans.
You had to go there first, huh?
Had to go there first. Let's get it out of the way. Tim's already cleared off his Danny Dimes baggage. Now it's time for you to get some stuff off your shoulders.
Okay, thanks.
Titans are getting 3.5 at home. Total is 41.5. Certainly a much better matchup for Aaron Rodgers. And quite honestly, this has got to be the first time in a long time that the Jets are even favored in a game. So how does that make you feel?
This line is I don't know, that Tennessee plus 3.5 at home just feels nice to me. After what we saw from the Jets last week.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't have any plays on the Jets. I just have 2 plays on the Tennessee side.
All right, go for it.
So I like Tyler Boyd, receiving yards. He played 83% of the snaps in week 1. He was targeted 5 times in that game. When he's had 4+ targets, he's cleared this line in 84% of games, averaging 51.5 receiving yards. If he gets 5 targets, which he had last week in Denver, 87% hit rate, averaging 54 yards. He has if he has 3 receptions, which is I believe what he had last week, another again 85% hit rate when he's got 3 receptions, and against the same Jets defensive, he played back in 2022, so more or less the Jets defense is the same as it. Coaching staff's the same. A lot of the key figures are the same. He had 105 yards against the Jets back in I believe early 2022. So I think there's not a lot of options for Will Levis to go to between Calvin Ridley and Boyd. That's about it. So I think at 25 yards, this seems really nice.
That's insulting to DeAndre Hopkins. Are you just writing off DeAndre Hopkins as like done?
Is he? See what he did last week?
Why are there no lines out on him?
I don't know, but he is the number 2 there. But let's see. See, yeah, I don't see anything out on him, so maybe we'll dig into that a little bit more. But it does seem like a good spot for Boyd in this one.
Oh, that looks like some stuff just came out. I just refreshed, and we got some Hopkins stuff there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
but you still like Boyd?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your second play here?
All right. We saw what Jordan Mason did against the Jets, right? So I think ran for 150 yards or whatever it was. Tony Pollard.
Pretty good day.
Yeah, he did. He did. Tony Pollard played 61% of the snaps in week 1 compared to Spears at only 31%. So I think you'll see a similar ratio there again at 50.5 yards. Seems pretty nice compared to, Jets really had a lot of trouble stopping Mason. Pollard carried the ball 16 times in week 1. When he's had just 12 carries, he's got an 89% hit rate on this line. 25 of his last 28 games with just 12 carries. He had 16 in week 1. They're playing at home, and based on what I saw from the Jets, I could easily see Tennessee having a lead or a close game, and looking to keep the ball on the ground, keep the clock running, and try to squeak out a win at home.
Yeah, that feels right. I mean, if they're not completely sold on Levis yet, right? So I think they're gonna try a heavy dose of rushing. Probably the biggest deterrent would be Spears taking away some share, but like you said, Pollard definitely seemed to be the RB number 1 week 1, and those are some pretty compelling numbers when he does get the carry. So I like it.
Yeah. Just getting there though. You see a lot of 53s, 55s, but I like it. Yeah.
That's okay. As long as we're on the right side of it, we're good.
That's right.
Tim, any thoughts on this game?
I don't have anything in that one yet.
All right. Let's go to the Colts and the Packers. Packers are getting 2.5 at home, so another home dog. Total is 40.5. Obviously, the news of Jordan Love being out for a few weeks is what's driving this spread. What do you like here, Tom?
All right, I got a few plays from this game. I like this game quite a bit. Indianapolis had the number 1 run block win rate in week 1, so I think we can look for some running plays, whether it's from the quarterback and Richardson or from the running back and Taylor on the Colts side. Warren Sharp preseason had their offensive line ranked 8th overall, so it's right in line with where Sharp, a top 10 offensive line there, and they get a nice mismatch because Green Bay's run stop win rate on the defensive end was 21st overall in week 1 against the Eagles. Jalen Hurts was held to just 33 yards, but remember Saquon ran the ball 24 times for 109 yards in that game. So I think we could see, Richardson get more than the 33 yards that Hurts had. His line's 39.5, so not that much more. And if you look at what some recent quarterbacks have done against Green Bay here, Dak ran for 45. Tommy DeVito, remember him, Tim? Tommy DeVito, 71 rushing yards. Justin Herbert, 73. Not a guy who usually gets anywhere close to numbers like that. Desmond Ridder put up 39. That's right where Richardson's line is at 39.5. That's Desmond Ridder, formerly of the Atlanta Falcons and
the Cincinnati
Bearcats. Yeah,
there we go.
And Justin Fields also 59 rushing yards. So I like Richardson here. This is a play I was also on in week 1. Going back to it again here.
Yeah, for anybody who's new to our pod or new to Props Like Cash, the way you see those comps is you just come down in the odds section, and then you look at odds versus the opponent, Green Bay in this situation, and then it shows you running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, all 3 positions against that opponent, right? So that's what Tom was talking about. If we're looking at rushing yards and we're looking at quarterbacks, we can see the history over the last season. And also this season. So I like it. Anthony Richardson is I think we're gonna cash on him quite a bit for rushing. We did so week 1.
Yep.
And this seems like a prime spot for him to go over in a lower line, right? This is a lower line than his week 1 line, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Week 1 was 44.5, 40 something.
Yeah, something like that. So
yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
That. All right. And then let's go with the other guy coming out of the backfield, Jonathan Taylor. His line's 78.5 rush yards, minus 120 on DK. He played 96% of the snaps in week 1. So if you're looking at what he did last season, you remember he started the season injured, I believe. And if you look at his snap, he was in like the 50-60 range. Yeah, you can see it right there for the majority of last season. Now he played 96% of the snaps in week 1. When he's played 3/4 of the snaps, 75%, he's cleared this line in 11 of his last 16 games. Just worth noting, if you wanted to use him as like a piece to a builder at 70 plus rushing yards, he's cleared in 13 of 16 with 75% of the snaps played. And one of those misses, he had 69 in. So I feel like Jonathan Taylor, 70 plus yards, could be a nice leg to some sort of builder from this game. So just wanted to call that out. And just look, I mean, Saquon had 109 yards in week 1 against Green Bay. And then if you go to those comps right there, McCaffrey, 98, Rachaad White, 89, Saquon again, 86. Put your boy Pacheco, Dave, 110. You had in the same game, David Montgomery, 71, Jahmyr Gibbs, 54. In the same game, Najee Harris, 82, Jaylen Warren, 101. In the same game, Javonte Williams, 82, Jaleel McLaughlin, 45. They've had some difficulty stopping these big backs, and I think Jonathan Taylor will again have a good game. Remember, Indianapolis had the #1 run block win rate. Their offensive line, #1 run block in week 1. So I think that continues again here.
Yeah, and he got 16 rush attempts in week 1 and is projected for 18.5. Wow.
There you go.
Jeez. So yeah, it feels good. The only thing I don't love about like this situation, this Indy situation, is just, Richardson poaching from Taylor, but it does kind of feel like, given Richardson's ability to, go downfield and just kind of like their desire to win, like probably a bunch of ugly games this year, that they're just going to run the ball a ton this year. So I like it.
Yeah.
Very winnable game for them too.
For sure. And then I think with what's his name? Malik
Willis.
Malik Willis. There we go. So with Malik Willis getting one of the first handful of starts, I think he was drafted by the Titans, played a few games for them. I think he's going to lean on the running back and Josh Jacobs here. His line 64.5 rush yards. So I'm all about the rushing in this game. Green Bay had the 8th best run block win rate, their offensive line. So a nice mismatch here. Philly and Indiana both had the same 27% run stop win rate in week one. So they're getting a very similar opponent to what they saw in week one between Philly and now with the Colts. And you can see running backs against the Colts. Joe Mixon, 159 yards in week one. Zamir White, late last season, 71. In the same game, Bijan Robinson, 72. Tyler Algier, 69. Again, Mixon crushed it with 79. In the same game, Derrick Henry, 102. Tajay Spears, 75. You can keep going down the list. Even the Pats, Ramondre Stevens, 88. Zeke, 54 in the same game. So he's the primary back here. And I think they're going to be leaning on him with the third tier quarterback making his star for Jordan Love.
Third tier. It's rude. That's the best they have. They don't have anybody else behind Love that they could have thrown in here.
I don't know. He's also been great at
He
home.
plays for the Jets now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the guy.
I forgot to call out. Jacobs is great at home. 14 of his last 17 at home, averaging 95 rushing yards per game. Obviously, this is a different home than his previous home, but home is still
What are his attempts? What's the attempts line for Josh Jacobs? 14 and a half?
16 and a half.
Yeah, they're gonna lean on him. I was just say anything below 16, I'd smack, but it's getting up to like right the scary levels.
Look at that green. Look at that.
This is Jacobs with 16. Obviously.
I love that.
We can make our own graphs.
Make our own graphs. He's rushed 16 times in every game where he's rushed 16 times. His last 6 games are pretty impressive when he gets those carries. But this is his first game in Lambeau. Situationally, they're just going to feed him a ton. I think that's an amazing play right there. So I like Josh Jacobs, 64 and a half. And you can see it's gone up. Fanatics has it at 70 and a half.
Wow.
So this one has probably the makings of a play that's going to go up as the week progresses.
Feels that way. Yeah.
All right. Anything else in this one?
No, let's keep it moving.
All right. 49ers, Vikings. Vikings are getting 5 points at home. Third straight home underdog we're talking about. Total's 46 and a half. That's a nice little total. And I guess the Vikings are coming off feeling pretty confident after their win against the Giants, and now they got to face the 49ers. So see what plays out. What's the story with McCaffrey? Is he in, out?
Probably out.
Probably out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What do you like here, Tom?
And you got this is my play, but Sam Darnold going against the team he was against the 49ers. So to get a little Sam Darnold revenge game possibly here, but we're not going there.
The 49ers saved his career by accepting him.
Accepting him.
There's no revenge there. All right, go ahead.
All right. Brock Purdy. I like 29 and a half pass attempts. San Francisco had the number 3 pass block win rate in week one, so he's going to have time to make some passes. Minnesota was 22 in pass rush win rate, so nice mismatch there. Since the beginning of last season, only 3 times has a quarterback had less than 30 pass attempts against Minnesota. One of those was Derek Carr, had 18. But if you dig a little bit deeper, he got injured in the third quarter in that game. Jameis Winston came in and combined the two of them threw the ball 43 times in that game. So we can take that one out. You have another game. Justin Fields only had 10 pass attempts, but he also got injured very early in the third quarter in that game. And Beijing came in, only had 14 pass attempts, but they ended up with 24. That was really the only game, but that's Chicago, whatever. And then the other one was, I think it was the first or second game of the season. Jalen Hurts only had 23 pass attempts, but Philly was up 27-7 in the third quarter in that game. DeAndre Swift and Boston Scott combined for 215 yards on 33 carries. So there was no need for Hurts to be throwing the ball. So, I mean, besides those 2 games, Chicago and Philly, everyone has just blown away this pass attempt line against Minnesota. So I like Purdy to go over 30 plus pass attempts, and it's minus 102 on FanDuel, or at least it was.
It is, yeah. Let's still get it for minus 102 there, minus 110 on DK. So good value there. I like that.
Thanks.
All right. Anything else in this game?
That was it.
I got one.
Ooh.
Let's hear it, Tim.
I got one. All right. I hate that this prefaces what we're going into, and I promise it's not just a trend. Brock Purdy. This is what started this whole quarterback rushing deep dive for me. We were going to bet Brock Purdy. We joked about it on the show, and then he went 1 for 11, covering it easy. We're getting 7.5. Last 4 games, he's had to scramble. The attempts though, 6, 5, 3, and 1. It only took him 1 attempt to get the 11. I think that happens. But if you go back to when he faced Minnesota last year, he had 19 rushing yards on 5 attempts. So I'm hoping we get 1 scramble, cover the 8. But I feel like the attempts, we're getting this line because they're thinking he needs 3 attempts to get it. I think he does it in 2, and I think we get the 2 no problem. So I'm hammering our boy Brock Purdy to go over 8 or more rushing yards.
Yeah, it looks like you can get this at Fanatics for 5.5 as well. So
smash that! I'm gonna hang on.
If you got Fanatics, maybe you can verify that. Hopefully, that's not an old
I'm
line.
gonna check it right now.
But
we saw it happen live to us last game. He only ran once in that game, but I think that Jordan Mason took care of the rest of the running. So we'll see what happens. He's gonna get flushed out of the pocket. He maybe runs for a couple, and then I think we catch this with these.
Yeah,
Thinking about just turning this podcast. Sorry, Dave. This podcast into a quarterback rushing and running back receiving podcast. Yep. I feels like we all love those 2 particular types of prop bets.
And tight ends, tight ends. You gotta get the
tight ends too. We can.
And I have a tight end smack that's absolutely fucking beautiful coming up. And I do have one more quarterback rush that we've already hammered. Nice. So we're definitely trending in that direction.
Didn't mean to cut you off there, Dave. Sorry.
No, we call it the Under 10 podcast. All props under 10, 10 or lower.
Don't you love watching 1 carry from Tua? May rest in peace. But like that first one, no hit, no nothing. It was the first one was like 11 yards. We could have had 3 kneel downs and still covered with ease. I love it.
Yes.
All right,
it does feel like Tua died yesterday based on the way the news is covering this thing. I mean, the guy is, serious health scare, but
it's not
very
on
much
Fanatics
alive
currently, and it's also they took it off of FanDuel. So if you have 365 in your state, grab that. But there's like only 4 states that have it. That's where I hit both my rushing so far because FanDuel took them both down. It's a good sign. It means we're onto something. So We've got so that's all I've got in that game. I'm on Purdy. I'm not touching the rest of that shit, man. I want to stay away from tight ends, Debo, everything. I'm just have him flush 1 time and go.
All right. Let's go to perhaps the most exciting game of the day, Tampa Bay at Detroit. Detroit is minus 7.5 at home. It's exciting because the total at this early part of the season is 51.5. So a lot of points projected in this one for early season game. Tom, tell us what you like here.
All right. So Detroit has a pretty good running game matchup against Tampa Bay's defense here. So you obviously got the two running backs in Montgomery and Gibbs. I put together a little alt builder on these 2 guys with Monty at 50 rushing yards, which he's done in 15 of his last 18 games, and Gibbs at 25 rushing yards, which he's done in 18 of 19 games to start his career. You can get that for even money, plus 100 on FanDuel. That feels very, very doable in this game.
So Monty 50 rushing yards,
Yeah.
Gibbs 25 rushing yards, plus
That's
100.
Plus 100.
That seems easy.
Yes. So that feels nice. Then I got to go to my man Rachaad White. I feel like over the last season and through a game here, he might be the guy I've played the most. Over 25.5 receiving yards. He had 3 and 4 receptions in 2 games against Detroit last season. If you look at his on the receptions filter, when he's had 2 receptions, he's cleared this line in 10 of 14, averaging 40.1 receiving yards. 3 receptions, 7 of his last 10, averaging 42.2. And you can look at some of those running backs against Detroit on the right-hand side there, and you'll see some nice comps.
Yeah, McCaffrey 42 yards. White himself at 42, 36. Got some big ones down here. Kamara at 58, AJ Dillon at 38. So Eckler at 48. So pretty good comps. I like that.
Yeah. So I like that. And then I just, it just feels just like the Monty Gibbs, two-legger there, adjusted down feels nice. With this 51.5 point total, I think this is, I think either this game or the Rams Cardinals game feel like the two biggest off the games that can have like the most offense in them this weekend. If you could put Goff for 250 yards and Baker for 250 at plus 143, that seems like a nice little plus money alt builder there for the two quarterbacks. Then I could see them just going back and forth in this game.
Yes, I mean certainly Baker. He's been just tearing it up lately. And
so many offensive weapons, right? So many good wide receivers in this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Explosive. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything else for this one?
That's all I got.
I liked I was debating between Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in this one. I think they're both in a great spot to go over. Yeah. Godwin put up 83 yards week 1 on 8 receptions. Targeted 8 times, so he went 8 for 8. So great way to start the year.
Wow.
Evans,
my fantasy team loved that.
Had 5 receptions on only 6 targets. So both these guys were just hauling in catches, pretty much everything that was thrown their way. So I could be convinced either way. Their lines are very similar. If you saw, we had a preseason futures pick on Chris Godwin, and he did some good work to already progress towards that total. But I basically, in the write-up, we basically said Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they're 1A and 1B, right? Like these guys are both number 1 receivers. So you guys have a preference? You think one or the other is going to do better in this game?
I think Godwin gets more targets.
Okay.
Always have trouble picking between these two guys. I was just looking to see if we could work up something like a 4 receptions for each of them, 4 and 4. That gets you to minus 149. Maybe you throw Baker at 225. 225. Yeah, that gets you to plus 109. Baker 225, Evans 4, Godwin 4. Something like that.
Man, talk about a guy who's completely changed his personality. Like people love Baker now.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of people just talk about, and everybody hated him so much. And then Cleveland's calling for after Deshaun. Cleveland, I'm 2 hours away. They're ready for anything other than Deshaun. They're like, bring Baker back. Should have broke up, but
that ship has sailed.
I think Godwin just gets peppered with more targets, just a little bit more production. Evans is that deep threat though. He's always got a 60-yard touchdown in him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Godwin's going to probably do it the slow way, right? He's going to catch 4 or 5 catches and going to put up 15 yards on average per catch. Evans could basically clear his line on 1 bomb, but I for that reason I'd prefer Godwin. A little less risk, a little more consistent, especially of late. I would take him for 62.5 straight up, but I do think either of these guys are good for builders as well.
I mean, in that playoff game this last season, Evans had 8 catches on 12 targets in that game against Detroit.
Oh, dude, I totally missed one. Are we still in the Minnesota game? Sorry, I was looking at my notes. No,
nope,
I missed it. Aaron Jones, throw Aaron Jones in there. If the rushing yards, you're talking about over. I think his line's like 49.5, and he's absolutely crushing his last 5. He's gone over 100, 4 or 5 with like 94, 95, and he's on a revenge tour this year. So I think his rushing is something I'm always looking into.
Yeah, he finished last season on a tear.
Yeah, and he started off strong.
He did
with his new team. So sorry, I missed that one.
All good.
Checking the list. got too excited to talk about quarterback rushing.
I also, you were talking about Jahmyr Gibbs earlier. I also kind of like his rushing attempts. It's high for an RB2 at 10.5, but he seems to be getting there. And I think they're going to run the ball a decent amount in addition to throwing. I mean, like we said, there's just going to be tons of offense in this game. So I like his 10.5 rush attempts. I know you put him in a builder. I like him for 48.5 rush yards. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a big game.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's go to the afternoon games. We got the Rams at the Cardinals. Cardinals are -1. Total is nice and high in this one too, 47.5. What's looking good for you here, Tom?
So the matchup I wanted to take advantage of here, Arizona had the worst pass rush win rate in week 1. So I think we can look to the passing game for the Rams for some nice plays here. The first one I have is Colby Parkinson, over 26.5 receiving yards. He played 88% of the snaps in week 1, right? And Puka went out. When he's played more than 2/3 of the snaps, he's only played more than 2/3 of the snaps 5 times in his career. When he's cleared in 4 of 5, averaging 35.2 receiving yards. As a comp tight end, Dawson Knox in week 1 had 23 yards on a line of 12.5. So that's the comp I'm looking to here. From the passing game, I like the tight end. Higbee's out. The other one I like was Cooper Kupp, over 84.5 receiving yards, -114 on FanDuel. He had 21 targets in week 1.
Yeah,
20.
what's his reception line? Because he's going to be the guy.
He 85% hit rate when he's had 10 plus targets. 23 of his last 27 games when he's had 10 targets. He had double that in week 1, especially with Puka gone now. Stafford's going to be going to Kupp. I don't know. You want to pull up his receptions?
Yeah, I was just looking. What do you want to see? His receptions? 7.5.
Yeah, what's his reception line? Oh, wow. Yeah. He's going to get, they have to feed him. I don't know if I'm taking it at 7.5, but that feels.
It looks like it's moving up too to 8.5. So
yeah, I thought I saw it 6.5. I like him for the 7, but they're gonna pepper him. That's all. I just know that's happening.
Yeah.
And
then they had there's just something about I don't know what the record is, but I think it's really good. Like Sean McVay and the Rams just have the Cardinals number. They just always beat them. Always have good games. So I think this is a good spot. I also like Kyron Williams, over 73.5 rushing yards, -115 on DK. Look at his last 2 games against Arizona.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, my fantasy team hopes that continues.
Yeah.
Look at those big runs too, 31 and 56.
Yeah. He's cleared in 7 of his last 9 overall. The 2 unders were both against Detroit. Bad matchup. James Cook had 71 yards on a line of 60.5 in week 1. His line 73.5. So I think that's pretty good. And then you could look at some of the other running back comps against Arizona. Is pretty nice. If I have him.
Yeah, I got it here. You got Cook, like you said, 71. Kenneth Walker last season, 78. DeAndre Swift, 61. And then some big ones here. Herbert, Khalil Herbert, 112. Right? McCaffrey, 115. Kyron Williams, 143. And Singletary, 112.
Yeah.
And Bijan, 95. So lots of big ones.
Terrible defense. Yeah.
Wow. The list just goes on and on. I love that some of these guys did it to him twice too. Williams himself, 158, and then Kenneth Walker, 105, McCaffrey, 106. So you got the same running back torching the same team twice. It seems like
can't even adjust to it.
I forgot how bad they were against the rush last year. Yeah, worst in the league, 143 yards per game. Oof. Let's go for it, man. I almost like Williams for 100 rush yards and Cooper Kupp for 100 receiving yards.
There we go.
I think if those guys clear their line, they're probably going to exceed it, by 100 plus. So I
That's
like both
nice.
of those.
Quick little builder I put together for this game. Stafford 225 yards, Cup 60 yards, Williams 50 rushing yards. It's plus 120. That felt very nice for this game. You get the quarterback, you get the wide receiver, and you get the running back, all adjusted down.
Lock it in.
Yeah.
All right. Anything on the Arizona side?
No.
Tim, you got anything in this game?
I know you got one, Dave.
I do not have anything in this game. No.
You guys don't think Kyler Murray's going to take off for 35 plus rushing yards in this
I'm
one?
good. That's too many yards, dude. That's not one digit. I need one digit.
That's one digit. A digit and a decimal.
Let's take a look at Kyler here.
Nah. Keep your money. Keep your money.
Ooh, bad history against the Rams, too.
Yeah, we don't want anything to do with Kyler this week.
All right. No Kyler. Tom and I are both kind of fans of Greg Dortch.
Yes.
So Greg Dortch is the third option behind Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. But that's not like a super strong 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
Like this is kind of like we were talking about Tampa Bay as a 1A, 1B. This team's got like a bunch of two Bs, 2 Cs down here. So I think Greg Dortch had a really good week 1. You could see like his performance when Kyler Murray was there. We can do that on Props Like Cash by going to players and then with Kyler Murray. He definitely gets targeted week 1. He had 8 targets. And if we just look at him in games with 5+ targets, even 4+ was pretty good, but let's go to 5+ targets. That's pretty good, right? Not only beating the 31, but crushing it. So I think it's pretty good. The Rams did give up decent yards. I mean, they shut down St. Brown in week 1, but they did give up monster yards to Williams. So we can see that here. Right, St. Brown only had 13 yards, but Jameson Williams had 121. And then if we go back to last season, St. Brown had 110. Josh Reynolds, 80. Slayton, your boy, Darius Slayton had 106. Lave, 123. Shaheed, 70. So Rams secondary definitely a decent opportunity to attack, right, Tom?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right.
I would agree.
Cool. Let's go to what should be the most fun game of the week. Cincinnati at KC. KC -6. KC should win this game by 40.
We have very different opinions of what are going to be the good games this week. I think this game's going to be a pooper. Really do.
I mean, KC is definitely looking like they're in a different league than Cincinnati, but just if history repeats, Cincinnati gets up for this game. So I was kind of surprised to see the spread was only 6. I do think KC could win by 10+, but again, I understand why based on the history. So, Tom, what do you like in this game?
I like Burrow pass attempts. So KC had the second worst pass rush win rate in week 1. So that should help the passing game a bit, though I think they'll probably be playing from behind. I think things are just not right in Cincinnati right now. I think they will be playing from behind in this game. His pass attempts are 35.5, -122 on FanDuel. Lamar Jackson had 41 pass attempts against KC in week 1. And if you go down that list and look at other quarterbacks against KC, you see a lot of green checks there going over their passing attempt line. So I like this for Burrow, trying to come back from behind here.
Yeah, something's definitely not right with him, but this is a good game script play. You feel like the Bengals will be trailing, then Burrow's got to be throwing. And if you look at his history too, I wrote down Burrow pass attempts. That's a nice little history against KC as well. 39, 38, 31, 41. So
Yeah, and if you look at his passing yards, all 4 have gone over. I just feel like the attempts, like given what's going on with Burrow right now, like I don't know if you saw the thing how he picked up the water bottle. There was a whole controversy about how he awkwardly picked up or weirdly picked up a water bottle. So who knows what's going on with his wrist? So I was sticking with the attempts over the yardage here for that reason.
water bottles can be heavy.
They can be, yes.
Anybody else in this game, Tom?
Yeah, I think let's keep with the game script here. That KC is going to be up, right? Cincinnati could not stop the run in week 1. Ramondre Stevens had 120 yards. At the end of last season, Isaiah Pacheco had 130 yards against Cincinnati. And given that they're playing with the lead, I love Pacheco over 64.5 rushing yards.
I agree with you there.
Yeah,
Very excited about this Pacheco matchup.
Looks like it's creeping up.
it's creeping up this. You'd still play it at 66.5.
I think so. Yeah. But that's moving up. That's from that one was actually from this morning. I got that this morning at 64.5 on DK. It's up to 66.5 on DK this afternoon.
Look at his rush attempts are up too. He was at 14.5 last week. He's up to 16.5 now. Yeah, seems like a really good play. It does feel like they're going to feed him.
Yeah.
What about Pat Mahomes, Tim? Pat Mahomes for rush here?
He is not my guy this week. No offense to him. He was a attempts wagon in the playoffs, but no, he's not who I'm looking at. I got 2 other absolute smacks, and then I got one guy that I kind of like.
All right. Mahomes rushing here?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, again, game script. If this
He'll
is
cover
a
if we don't bet it, but
if
So
this is a
we
game
won't
where
bet it.
KC
If you-
should be up, then betting Mahomes.
He's
You
gonna
know,
hand it off.
Don't see
Mahomes
it
uses
happening.
legs when he needs to. So, what did I like
He
in
might
this
kneel
game?
at the half and at the end of the game too. They might be beating that
True.
ass at halftime.
3 spots. We don't have to look at all the charts, but Xavier Worthy for 43.5. I think that's another nice play. I think the books still probably aren't capturing what his role in the offense is going to be. He's going to be the deep ball threat.
Wasn't his week 1 line 20.5?
Yeah, I still
Yeah.
think I think it's going to keep creeping up until we're
Wow.
in the 50s. And Jamar Chase. I think Jamar Chase is in a nice spot for a longest reception. I liked that for him. Let me just pull up his receiving yards. Right, so his straight up line is 71.5. He's done that in 3 out of the last 5 games against KC. But if you look at his longest reception, he tends to get there just missing in the 1 game. So, and as more books offer this, you might be able to sneak it for 21.5 or something like that. But I do like him for 1 bomb in this game. I think he's good for that against KC if history repeats. And then one other play in this game, since it's the Chiefs game, and I got excited researching. I like Noah Gray.
I'm cool with it.
This might be a Tim approved play.
Under
I like
10.
Noah Gray for 2 receptions.
Oh.
Just 2 little receptions. So he only did that in 1 out of the last 4 games against Cincy, but it was the last game that they played. He had 3 catches. If you look at his last 10 games, and then if you look at him with Kelsey in, because remember Kelsey was out, and if you look at him when he gets 2 or more targets, just targets, we're not talking about receptions, he's got a 9 out of 10 hit rate for 2 receptions. So 3 catches week 1, man got paid. Now they got to get their money back. I think they're going to go to Noah Gray again as teams continue to try to shut down Kelsey.
What is his yardage total? I was on him, but I was looking at him longest reception for a 9.5. Or I think you go with the longest reception. I think he only gets 1 catch, personally.
Okay.
Kelsey wasn't involved at all. I think we have 2, maybe 2.5 quarters of throwing to the tight end before it's a Pacheco party. So that's the only thing. I liked Noah Gray because they're going to swarm Kelsey. So I do like your 2 receptions, but if I was going to take one or the other, and it's juiced heavily this way, but I'm on him with you. I like it.
Beautiful.
I think he gets one catch over that 10 yards, and then from
And
there,
look,
it's
some of these tight ends against Cincinnati: Ingram
Yeah.
9,
They're
Frymouth 9,
good.
Kincaid 10, Kittle 9, Hawkinson 6. I mean, monster reception games
Yeah.
at the end of
They're
last
not
season
good
against
against the tight
Cincinnati.
end.
Yeah,
The thing is, though, Kelsey, look at
Yeah.
Kelsey's receptions. He had 4 catches. No, I think he only had 3. Either way, he ruined our no sweat in the first week, but that's okay. We hit the second week and it was fine.
All right, that was your main course. We went through all the games that we thought were the best over opportunities. Now it's dessert time. Tim, what do you got for us kind of in the rest of the games?
All right. So Dortmund scored. So all those footy smacks were off to a great start. But
Let's go.
let me give you. I got 3 that I love. We're gonna start with the tight end. His name's Austin Hooper. And he plays for the New England Patriots. And this game might not be electric or entertaining, but he is going to be featured. His receiving yards are 10.5. I just love it. His snap count has increased, and it takes about 40% of snaps for him to get a target. But once he gets above 50, he's got 3 or more targets. I think he's going to be featured in this game. I wouldn't say pretty heavily, but more than enough to sail over this 10.5. I think he can do it in one catch. So I really like Austin Hooper. 10.5 receiving yards. He was at 9.5 on a book, and I was trying to snag it, but it went back up to 10.5. So if you find him 10 plus,
what book is he on?
I grabbed him on 365, and then I found him on MGM, I believe, or DraftKings, one of the two. Sorry, I've been looking at too many. But 10.5. He's covered
there
4
we go.
straight. Yeah. But
Yeah,
go
that's a
down.
good look.
Look at the last 5, and then scroll down a little bit for me and look at the snap percentage where he didn't cover, and then what he's been doing. So even if we get 55%, he had 4 targets. I think when he goes above that 40%, the targets kind of start shooting up, and 3 red zone targets in the last 4 games. So the anytime touchdown isn't the worst either. I really like Austin Hooper. He's still a stud. He was in Cleveland for a while. He was in Atlanta for a while. He had some seasons. I think people have forgotten about him, and he can still catch the ball. So yeah, look at that. Pretty good at football.
Doesn't totally fit into the 10 and under theme of the show, but we'll take it at 10.5.
close
You
enough.
could bet him 10 plus maybe somewhere. I don't know. But he's a tight end. He's not a quarterback. So let's get right back underneath to maybe my favorite play of the week, which is Derek Carr. Derek Carr rushing yards, 2.5. I know, but hear me out. I'm not betting this because of Derek Carr. I'm betting this because of Micah Parsons. He's going to be running for his fucking life. And so I think they're going to bring everybody's saying that this is a sneaky upset. As much as it pains me, I think Dallas is going to absolutely throttle them. I think it's going to be a wake-up call to the entire city. And then just look at Derek Carr's rushing. He's going to get out of the pocket one time. We don't have to worry about kneel downs. They will not be winning this game at the end of it. I think he's going to rush, running for his life, and cover this in the first half because they will be hammering him. That defensive line is just going to, I think it's going to overwhelm their pass rush. I think they outperformed themselves in week 1, and I think it's going to come back to haunt them. So I love his 2.5 rushing yards.
And am I correct? Like, it's very difficult for a quarterback to get negative rushing yards other than a kneel down. Is that correct?
So in college, they count anything a sack as rushing yards. They don't count a sack. So if he were to fumble, run, pick up the ball, and attempt to recover, that could get counted against him. But a kneel down is the way to get negative, or if you take off, get outside the pocket and get dropped. So it is, I wouldn't say it's difficult, but it's definitely the kneel down is the thing that you need to worry about the most. There's a lot of 2-yard, 1.5 yard lines. Tom Brady was the king of fucking people. He'd have a 1.5, he'd have 1 fall forward at a 4th down, and then he'd kneel down twice to get you under the line. So I don't think that we have to worry about that with Derek Carr because they're probably gonna be trailing by 3 scores. And what you saw Tua do, hopefully without the seizures and whatnot, I think this is what you're going to see from Derek Carr. I think it's going to be not even a designed run. I think he's going to come outside and get like a 2 11 yard kind of thing.
Yeah.
Enough about Derek Carr. One more and you guessed it, it's a rushing prop from a quarterback, and it was 9.5 at BetMGM. I'm not sure if it still is, but Geno Smith, Seattle, we're going over his rushing yards, and if you look at the recent what's going on, he's crushing these lines, and I'm not betting based on those numbers. I'm betting again on him being flushed out of the pocket and needing to move with the current offense that we're seeing from them. If you look at the most recent 3, that's great. But I really think that the flush out, I mean, the guys with the bigger lines aren't covering, but the guys with the 10s and up and below are covering. Josh Allen is an outlier. But just look at that, 33, 28, 30. We need 2 carries for 12 yards. We're having a good day.
Yeah, and I think Joe Burrow, who is a mobile quarterback, but they're probably not trying to make him run too much given his issues with his hand. He put up 15 rushing yards in week 1 against New England. So I think it's a very good example of a quarterback who exceeded this line, who's probably not as in good of a position to exceed it as Geno. So love that. Great play.
In the last 3 games, he's had 3 or more. And in the last 6 games, he's averaging 3. So I'm pretty happy with the attempts there. And I think he breaks 1 for like 7 and we're in good shape. So yeah, I got Derek Carr, I got Geno Smith, and I like Brock Purdy, and then I've got Austin Hooper. I also did a parlay with all of them together, just a little sprinkle, but it was a lot of fun. So
Beautiful.
Those are my 4 favorites for this. I'm sure there'll be more when it comes out, but I was a little jaded after last night, and I just started looking at the data. No more builders after Keon Coleman decided to never get a target.
We knew that was going to happen.
Hey,
So-
Dortmund just covered.
All right.
So we'll cover
Dave,
soccer.
your beautiful Cup Williams 100. I just would like to call out that last time they played Arizona last October, 158 yards for Williams, 148 yards for Cooper Kupp. You can do 100 and 100 on FanDuel for plus 614. They also did it 2 other times last season against Washington, another good comp for Arizona. I feel like 152 yards for Williams, 111 for Kupp. And they even did it against Baltimore, which has a solid defense. So I love that play. Plus 614 on FanDuel.
I left my phone
There you go.
upstairs. Otherwise, I'd be locking that in right now.
Yeah. All right. Nice work. We made it through week 2. Big Sunday main slate podcast. A lot of good information here. A lot of good picks. So lock them in now. You see lines are creeping up on some of these plays. They're going to continue. It's still only Friday. We have till Sunday. So those lines are going to keep moving. So like we always say, get them in early, lock in that value. And let's all make some money.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.